Meghan a geriatric mother. The family claims and states that Meghan had a hysterectomy. How can a woman with a hysterectomy be pregnant? And most of all, why did the royal family go along with this? And what's going to happen now that this has come out? This is a punishable crime. This is fraud in the highest levels.
Things just got a whole load worse for Meghan Markle because her sister Samantha ain't going anywhere.
I do believe because there are no delivery certificates.
They called her the modern Cinderella, but the glass slipper didn't just fit. Meghan Markle forced it on, cracked it, and then tried to sell the shards to Netflix.
In my opinion, she would still be a waitress if it wasn't for Dad.
From Hollywood hustle to Buckingham backlash, Meghan turned the royal fairy tale into a headline factory and somehow made herself both the victim and the director.
Did you make Kate cry?
No, the reverse happened.
Every speech, every tear, every private confession, perfectly timed for maximum drama. You almost have to admire the PR precision. Almost.
When you have been lied about for a series of years, how hurtful that is.
But behind the flawless filters and royal hand-holding, Samantha Markle, the sister who knows her best, says there's a secret Meghan's been guarding tighter than the crown jewels.
People think her kids are fake. They think they're AI.
I'm going to quote Tom Bauer by saying, he said, look, we all laughed at Samantha and she was right. And everything she said has come true.
A secret that could unravel everything. The pregnancies, the royal titles, even the line of succession itself.
And there's a very big difference. It was deliberate.
And when Samantha said, people need to look at the timeline, the internet did. What they found didn't just raise eyebrows, it set them on fire. Because if Samantha's right, then Meghan's picture-perfect royal motherhood might be nothing more than a beautifully staged illusion.
This scandal comes as no surprise. Speculation about the children has been simmering for years.
So buckle up, because this isn't the fairy tale the palace wants you to believe. It's the side of Meghan Markle they never expected anyone, especially her own sister, to expose. And trust me, once you see the cracks in this royal fantasy, you'll never look at the Duchess the same way again.
Silence everybody and just produce a DNA sample.
Every royal story has a villain, but in this one, Samantha Markle refuses to play the role Meghan wrote for her. For years, she watched her half-sister climb from cable TV actress to global duchess, smiling for cameras, rewriting her past, and acting like she'd been born with a silver crown. And through it all, Samantha stayed quiet until the silence started to taste like betrayal. Because behind the smiles and charity speeches, Meghan didn't just distance herself. She erased her entire family. The woman who preaches compassion couldn't return a single phone call to her wheelchair-bound father or her sister who once defended her from bullies.
When she said, I lost my father, we knew that she didn't lose our dad. She iced our father.
Samantha finally snapped. She said, if Meghan can rewrite history, then I'll remind the world what really happened. And then came her bombshell, a single cryptic line: people need to look at the timeline. No rage, no insults, just that one sentence. But it hit harder than any royal scandal before it, because everyone knew what she meant. Meghan's pregnancy timeline never quite made sense. The dates, the photos, the secrecy, the story was full of holes. And while Meghan's PR team scrambled to bury the chatter, Samantha just smiled, as if she knew something the rest of the world wasn't ready to hear.
If you had those things, it would be very easy just to put them out there and say, this is what happened. This is what it is.
But that was only the beginning, because once she started talking, the cracks in Meghan's perfect royal image began to split wide open. When Samantha said, look at the timeline, most people rolled their eyes, until they did, because the deeper you dig into Meghan's so-called miracle pregnancies, the messier it gets. In October 2018, Kensington Palace announced that Meghan was expecting just 5 months after her royal wedding. Cute, right? Except there were no hospital photos, no confirmed delivery doctors, and not a single witness who actually saw her go into labor.
A doctor has come forward and has absolutely revealed, and you're going to listen to her, she has absolutely revealed and confirmed that Meghan Markle was never pregnant, never gave birth to any children.
Then there were the bump moments, that infamous clip where her belly seemed to fold as she crouched down. The internet called it optical illusion. Others whispered prosthetic. Fast forward to 2021, baby number 2. Same pattern. No hospital sightings, no official birth certificate for weeks, and another round of strategic media silence. Every public appearance looked choreographed, like a movie production hiding its plot twist, and yet the palace refused to clarify anything. They just smiled, waved, and let rumors breed like wildfire. That's when old reports resurfaced about Meghan's alleged surgery years earlier, one that, if true, would make natural pregnancies impossible. To most people, coincidences pile up until they stop looking like coincidences. And Samantha knew it. Her cryptic warning wasn't gossip, it was a breadcrumb trail. Because if those dates are real, and that surgery happened, then every royal photo op since 2018 might be part of the biggest illusion the monarchy's ever staged.
I don't like to say it, but I gotta say it. I don't know of anybody that cold to do this.
But the next twist? It didn't come from the palace. It came from a woman named DL. She called herself DL. No royal title, no spotlight, just 2 letters and a story that could burn the whole palace down. For years, she stayed invisible, buried behind non-disclosure clauses and offshore contracts. But according to her, silence had an expiration date. DL claims she wasn't just a witness. She was the woman who carried the royal children. Her words sent shockwaves through every corner of the internet. She described a world of marble clinics in Beverly Hills, guarded entrances, and code names that sounded straight out of a spy movie. She said Meghan and Harry attended consultations separately, always disguised, and never signed anything under their real names. Every detail was rehearsed, every visit timed perfectly with public events. DL claimed that after each procedure, she was told to disappear. No photos, no records, no acknowledgement. Her name wiped, her payments routed through shell accounts. She called herself the Ghost Mother, existing only in the shadows of a fairy tale. And when she finally spoke, her voice trembled, not with fear, but with fury. They treated me like a vessel, she said, like I didn't exist. Her confession wasn't a tabloid headline. It was a direct hit at the royal narrative itself.
I'll tell you why. What she told the royal family, what she told Harry, wouldn't have jived, wouldn't have been consistent with the truth.
But DL didn't stop with words. She said she had proof. And what she showed next, even Samantha hadn't seen coming. When DL finally broke her silence, she didn't come with gossip. She came with receipts. Not the kind you post on Twitter, but the kind that make even seasoned journalists sit up straight. She produced clinic intake forms stamped with 2018 and 2020 dates, ultrasound images labeled under code names, and digital payment logs that traced funds through 3 separate shell companies. According to her, every document matched the timeline of Meghan's pregnancies. Even the clinic's appointment timestamps lined up with the palace's photo ops, like puzzle pieces no one was supposed to fit together. Then came the screenshots, encrypted emails, initials that hinted at royal aliases, and a signed non-disclosure clause threatening legal ruin if she ever spoke.
Here, the doctor talks about both the children. And listen to what she says.
So you tell me to tell you something that maybe a dozen people actually know that's going to come out very soon, okay? Meghan Markle, the reason why you watch her interviews and she just seems off, she's owned by a pharmaceutical company. The 2 children that she had, they're not hers. She didn't have them with Harry, and how her and Harry met is that she's a prostitute.
DL said the money stopped halfway through the second pregnancy and that silence was the final payment, but she refused to disappear this time. Her evidence spread online faster than the palace could blink. Forums exploded, hashtags trended, and journalists scrambled to verify what they could, which, frustratingly, wasn't much. Still, the coincidences were too sharp to ignore. DL ended her reveal with a single sentence that froze comment sections. If I'm lying, I'll take a DNA test on live TV. That challenge turned rumor into revolution, because now it wasn't just about whispers or paperwork, it was about proof. And when the palace didn't respond, people began asking the question they weren't supposed to ask. What if she's telling the truth?
And when you're pregnant, there's not a pillow under your skirt. And there's live footage of her walking towards camera with her abdomen swaying left to right in a black and white checkered dress.
The moment DL threw down her challenge, the internet lost its mind. I'll take a DNA test on live TV. 16 words that detonated across social media like fireworks over Buckingham Palace. News outlets raced to cover it. Hashtags trended worldwide. Comment sections turned into battlefields. One side calling DL a hero, the other labeling her a fraud chasing 15 minutes of fame. But for every skeptic, another person whispered, what if she's right? Rumors turned into investigations. Talk shows begged DL to appear. Tabloids offered 6-figure deals. And YouTube channels dissected every frame of her interview like it was the Zapruder film. Through it all, Meghan and Harry stayed silent. Not a single denial, not a statement, nothing. The silence spoke louder than any press release ever could. Then Samantha stepped back into the storm. Without confirming or denying DL's claim, she simply posted a quote from her father. The truth doesn't fear questions. It was subtle, but it was gasoline on a royal bonfire already burning out of control.
But if you look at this, Meghan Markle has been incredibly quiet about the birth, but mostly the pregnancy of these children. Everything has been shady. The one who's been blabbing and saying crazy things is Prince Harry.
The palace held emergency meetings, publicists scrambled, and insiders leaked that conversations about legitimacy had begun behind closed doors. What started as a sister's warning had morphed into a constitutional nightmare. Because if DL's test proved real, if the DNA didn't match, it wouldn't just rewrite a family story. It would shake the foundations of the monarchy itself, and the next revelation would make that possibility even darker. When the whispers turned to legal speculation, the story crossed a line even tabloids feared to touch. Because this wasn't just gossip anymore, it was about the throne. British succession law has an old-fashioned rule buried in its pages. Every royal heir must be born of the body. It sounds archaic, but it's the backbone of royal legitimacy. And if DL's story were ever proven true, it could mean the Sussex children technically stand outside that requirement. One unverified rumor suddenly had the power to ignite a constitutional headache centuries in the making.
Why have they simply not made an announcement to the fact that all of this speculation about the children's arrival.
Behind palace gates, insiders claimed there were frantic phone calls with legal advisors and quiet briefings to keep journalists from asking dangerous questions. Lawyers debated whether modern surrogacy laws could override royal tradition. Politicians avoided microphones like landmines. Meanwhile, the public split down the middle. Some defended Meghan, arguing the monarchy should modernize. Others demanded transparency from a family that trades on bloodlines. Conspiracy channels poured gasoline on both sides, and every theory, no matter how wild, found an audience. For the first time, the conversation wasn't about Meghan versus Samantha. It was about whether the monarchy itself could survive another scandal. And according to several palace insiders, that fear wasn't paranoia, it was strategy. Because when the crown's image starts to crack, history shows one rule always follows. Protect the institution, even if someone else takes the fall. The palace said nothing. Not a whisper, not a headline correction. Just that signature Windsor stillness that has buried 1,000 scandals before. But this time, silence wasn't power. It was gasoline. Every hour without a statement made the speculation louder. TV panels argued over strategic restraint, while online sleuths hunted for clues in old photos and baby announcements. The Sussex supporters cried witch hunt. The skeptics shouted cover-up. And in the middle stood Samantha, holding court on talk shows like a woman who had already accepted her role as royal exile. She spoke with a calm that felt dangerous. No rants, no name-calling, just carefully chosen phrases about truth, dignity, and family accountability. Each interview added another crack to Meghan's pristine public image. She even hinted there were more receipts waiting if